Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. Welcome to the end of term exam questions. This is the part two. The FRQ part is the free response questions or the writing part. In this question, we will draw reflections in the coordinate plane. Here we have been given triangle ABC and we need to reflect it along the line y is equal to x. Y is equal to x is a 45-degree line which passes to the center like this. So this line here is like the mirror, and this entire image must be reflected accordingly. So now you can see this will be reflected over here because the reflection, if you just graphing it directly. Now this, what is the distance until here? You need to graph it somewhere here, and this one accordingly on the other side. But that is very tricky just to assume, just to count and graph the points directly. But there are ways how we can do it, and you have to write it in detail. Well, how is it? First thing, write the points. What are the coordinate points of A? A is x and y, and then we will do the reflection of it. That's later on. Sorry, what I'll do is I'll write original here, original, reflected, just to make you understand now. And I'll take this point A. When it's reflected, it'll become A prime or A dash. Why? Because that is the newly formed image. Now here, what is the coordinates? 1, 2, 3, minus 3, and then we have 1, 2, positive 2. So when we write it out, it'll be x, that's minus 3 first, and then y, minus 3 and 2. Now let me write the other values as well, b and c. What is b? It is 0, x and 1 y, and lastly we have minus 2 and minus 3. So it's 0, 1, minus 2, minus 3. Reflection along at, you can write it as y is equal to x or x is equal to y, means you just swap these. Y becomes x here and x becomes y. So this is 2 and minus 3. This one will be 1 and 0 and minus 3 and minus 2. So these are the reflected points. This is 2 here. And now we can graph these points up. What is x? 2 and minus 3. 1, 2, 3. It's over here. This is the point A prime. See this A, it's reflected here. What about the other points? I'll remove the coordinates of the original image, so it'll be more clearer. What about B? B is 1 and 0. It's 1 and 0. That is over here. That's the next point. And lastly, we have minus 3, 1, 2, 3, and minus 2, 1, 2. So here we get. And now if you join these 3 points, that is the reflected image. So this is it. This much, if you write it, it's more than enough. If you make a table, it's brilliant. Or just leave some space and just write it out. No need of the table as well. I'll just write over here, what is it? Original points, original and reflected. Reflected. And this is along x is equal to y. So that's it. And this, you can just graph it up. They will give you the coordinates. Just graph these newly formed points, that is these ones, reflected points, and that should be the answer. You can see the newly formed, it's accurate. Those are the points, but you can just use a scale and draw it accurately. Remember, when the reflected points occur, they will have prime here. Now, it's better to write the values. This is B prime, this is C prime, or dash, What about this trapezoid? Same thing. You need to see where is it reflected. This is reflected over here along this line here. So now that is the line. You can directly write the points, but instead of that, original. What is original? Original will be D, E, F. So I'll write D, E, F, and G. 4 points for trapezoid. It is 0x, and you can see it's minus 3. So I'm just going to write over here 0 and minus 3. What is E? It is 1 and positive 3. F is 1, 2, 3 and positive 3. And lastly, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and negative 3. Now here it's not just reflected. It's just not the inverse of these. X and y becomes y and x. Was for y is equal to x. That was very easy, right? Now here you need to take x is equal to -1. This is like the mirror where it's getting reflected. Here you need to find the distance between this and this point. And remember, since it's along the x is equal to -1, that's a vertical line, x is equal to -1, the y values will never change. See this y? Here the y values won't change. So I can just write d prime, e prime, f prime, and g prime. The y values, because it's along x, right? X is equal to -1. These values will be the same, -3, 3, 3, and -3. X values change how? By what? This distance here to here is how much? 1. So you need to subtract this by 1. It'll be -1 here. Sorry, not, see, it'll be 2, -2. Why? Because from here to here it's 1, right? Then it'll be -1, -1, -1, like this. It'll be -2 here, sorry. Now I'll show you another point. What is the distance from the axis? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now what you need to do is -1, -5, that will be -6 here. So if you take a point at -6, that will be the reflected point. What about this? -2, so 1, -1, -2 will be -3. And lastly, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, it will be -5. Please note, you need to consider from the line of reflection. Here, from the line of reflection, how much is the distance to E? It is 2. So the line of reflection is -1, so it will be -1, -2. Therefore, we get 3. And now we can just plot the points. Here, it will be 1, 2 here. That will be over here. And then this point over here. And then we have G at see, we have -5, isn't it? Oh, did I write these points properly? It's -2. G is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll be -6. That is G. Sorry, my bad. I've written 1, 2. E is -3. So this is correct. And lastly, what is F? F is -5. So these are the correct values, okay? I didn't see this order. I wrote directly, one by one. So now D, E, F, G. And this G will be at -6, that's somewhere over here. And if you just join all the lines with the scale, you will get the reflected trapezoid along x is equal to -1. So here we go. These are the answers. You can see over here, it's so easy to find it out. It's -2, -3, -3, 3, -5, 3, and -6 and 3. The y values will remain same. Why? Because it's along x is equal to -1. All these will be same. This is similar to what we did a while ago. So it's along this line, x is equal to 1. So all you need is, I'm not going to write origin and all, I'll just write these points. R, S, T, and U. R is -2 and +3. S is +2 and 4. T is 2 and -3. And lastly, we have -2 and -4. So now the reflected one, it's going to be reflected along y is equal to x. Therefore, it will be just a swap. 3 -2, 4 and 2, -3 and 2, and lastly -4 and -2. So this is the answers. And now if you reflect it, let's write the new values. 3, 1 to 3, and -2 is somewhere over here. This will be the point R. That is R prime. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 is over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's over here. Let me put that out. And S prime, that is S prime. And then what do we have? -3 and 2, that is -3 and -3 and +2, that's over here. We go. That will be T prime. And lastly, we have -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and -2, that's over here. So you can see this is the figure, the newly reflected figure. You can see that's the trapezoid that's changed. So now this is the answer for this one. You can see that is the answer. You can see here R prime, S prime, T prime, and the remaining point is U prime. So here we go. You can see, match it. As long as you understand these coordinates, if you get these coordinates right, that's it. That is the main thing. See, these coordinates are there, right? For x is equal to y or y is equal to x, it's very simple. You just have to swap their positions. x of the original figure becomes y of the reflected one, and y here becomes x of the next one. Another similar one here, but it is along y is equal to -2. That means here the line is getting reflected. So these points will be somewhere here and here. Now for the first original image, L, M, N, K, let's write the coordinates. L is -2 here and +3. M is 1 and +4. N is 2 and +1. Lastly, we have x value of -1 and y is 0. Now reflected, my handwritings are very bad, and y is equal to -2 here. That is where it got reflected. So now what you'll be doing is all these prime, you can't directly write it. You need to see the original image. That time it's easier. See what's the distance. Before that, y is what's changing. See, these values will change. So I'll directly write what are the x values here. X values remain the same. -2, 1, 2, and -1. They will not change. The x values do not change. The y value here, which is at 0, and that is for k, will be, see how much is the distance? It's 2, right? So from -2, again you need to do -2 because we're going down again. So it'll be -2, -2, that's -4 for k prime. What about the other ones? N, it is, from here it is -3. So -2 and -3 will be -5. What about this M? It's too much. 2, 4, 6. So -2 and -6 will give us -8. Lastly, L is 3, 5. It will be -5, so it's -7. That's how we do it for all the points here. Just look at the origin, what is the line of reflection, and see what is the distance. Then you get these points. Now we can do the newly formed reflected image. So the reflected point L prime will be -2 and -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's way too down. It's somewhere over here. And then don't worry, in the exam they'll give you proper coordinates to graph. M is going to be way down here. And then N prime will be somewhere here, and K prime is somewhere over here. So that will be the reflected image, something like this. At the line y is equal to -2. You can see this is the correct answer. And these are the points which we got. Now we have written it from L. They have started from K, L, M, N. That's fine. I start from L, M, N, K. And here you go. These are all accurate. M, yes, is accurate. N is correct. K is correct, and L, all the values. L, yes, L is also correct. So here, just depending on which line of reflection, your values, you can easily change. See, whenever it's x is equal to, the y values remain same, and it's y equal to, x value remain the same, only the y changes. In this question, we will determine truth values of negation, conjunction, and disjunctions. Here we have the truth value table. These are the values. Now, this is conjunction, this is disjunction, but how will you remember conjunction and disjunction? I always tell my students, remember the word A, like AC. A, C, okay? A is, you can see from up to down, like this, right? And what is this? Conjunction. And A, also we write the word and from conjunction, right? From A. So here, conjunction means it's the AND gate or AND values. And disjunction is OR values, the truth table of OR. So if you understand one, then the other one is just the opposite of it. If you know what is conjunction, what is the symbol, and what is AND, then they are all the same thing. The disjunction will just be the opposite one. So remember AC. A is written like this, inverted V, isn't it? That is the symbol for conjunction. Why? Because C stands for conjunction. And this is also written as AND gate. So what does AND do? Let me tell you the statement. I need food and water. Now in this case, when is this satisfied? If someone gives me food, yes, that is true, but did I get water? No. If this is false, then no, I'm not satisfied because I wanted both. If it's true and false, then it is false. Conjunction doesn't hold good. Say, for example, you have got water but no food, then again it's false. If you don't get anything, food or water, no, it's false. But if you get food and water, then you're satisfied, then that is true. So both needs to be satisfied. Now regarding the disjunction, let me give you an example. If I want a pen or pencil, I need to write something down. I'm asking for a pen or a pencil. So imagine I get a pencil and also a pen. Both are there. I can write it down. Yes, that's true. That's satisfied. If I just get a pen but no pencil, one is true, one is false. That means a pen but no pencil. Yes, I can write it down. What about false and true? That is no pen but I got a pencil. That is also fine. But if I get both of them, if I don't have both of them, then it is false. That's the only condition which makes it false. Whereas in conjunction, you need both, only then it's true, otherwise it's false. What is negation? Now, negation here, negation of P, what does that mean? If it is true, it is then false. If it's a true statement, say 2 plus 5 is equal to 7. That is, say, condition P. Now, negation, this is true, right? Negation of P will be just false. So here, true will be false and false will be true. That's it. Now, conjunction is and you can see here the symbol, inverted V, and disjunction is or, and it is written as V. Now let's do these problems. Here we have to use these statements and find the truth values of P and Q. Since it's a writing exam, first let's take one statement at a time. You can write this out. It's -3 minus 2, that is equal to -5. Is it true or false? -3 and -2, yes, it's true. So I'll just write this symbol. It's like equivalent, it's true. What about Q? Q, vertical angles are congruent. Vertical angles, yes, they are congruent. Vertical angles are like this. They are equal to each other. Vertical angles are, angles, you can just write in unit of short forms, are congruent. Okay, they're congruent. That is true as well. What about the last statement? Are 2 plus 8 is greater than 10, that is false, because 2 plus 8 is equal to 10, not greater than 10. This is false. The first two are true, but the last one is false. Now what do we have? P and Q. So let's write this, P and Q, or you can also write it as that is equal to P A Q, inverted V, that is. What is the first one? P is true and Q is also true. So the final truth value is true itself. So you can write P and Q. Over here you can write P and Q. The statement P and Q is true. So this is how we can write it out. And here we go, that's true. But what about, see over here, it has to be mentioned, the statement P is true, Q is true, so P and Q is true. You can write over here, the statement P is true, Q is true, and therefore we have written it in terms of equation. That's fine. You can write it like this as well. Now what about the next one? P and R. I'm just going to change it over here. R is false, so it cannot be true here because it's and. Again, it's the and gate. P and R. It is true and false, so it will be false. The answer is false. P and R is false. Why? Because the statement P is true, R is false, therefore P and true and false is false. So here we go, that will be the answer for second one. What about this one here? See, now negation of R is involved. So here I'll just write the answers directly, the same thing. What do we have? Q. So Q, that is or, V is or, negation R. So Q is, statement Q is true, or negation R is again true. Why? Because you should write statement negation R. R is true, therefore negation R is, R is false. Statement R is false, negation of R is true. Therefore true and true is true, it is true. So you can just write it is this, you can write this in terms of words and tell it is true. It's very simple as long as you understood that how to write the statements. The main thing is the given statements. See, they are the same statements here. If you understand the given statements, then it's absolutely easy. R and Q. What is R? R is false. I'm just going to write over here false. and Q is true, it'll become false. You need to write in detail. Statement R is false. Oh, sorry, it is not and, it is, look here, it is or. My okay, that was or only. I I didn't realize this was or. If any one is true, then it is true. So this is or condition. Statement R is false, but statement Q is true. Therefore, R or Q is true. Any one is correct. That's enough. That's the thing. And what about this one? Negation P and negation Q. Now this means the first one was true, but then negation P is false and negation Q is also false. See here, when it's and, even if one is false, it's false itself. So the answer is false here, no doubt. So that is the answer, it's false. What about this one here? We have negation R. Negation R will be true. Why? Because R in fact is false, but we have negation of it, so it is true. Or we have to do negation of P, which is true, and this negation of P becomes false. Therefore, it is, see, it is or again. So therefore, it is true. You can write in details. See, whatever the statements are given, first you need to write them in detail and tell whether they are true or false. I've just written T, that you guys in the exam write true or false. TRUE, FALSE. And then we just substitute it over here, whatever is given, and then check whether it's true or false from the truth table. You do not need to write the truth table. If you know that, it's enough. But this things must be written. The statement R negation is true. The statement R negation is false. Either one must be true, and one is true, therefore it is true. Before moving ahead, a quick reminder and a humble request. Please do share my channel and my videos with your friends and to whoever that can benefit from it. And I also kindly ask you, if you can hit the subscribe button and like my videos, it would mean a lot. In this question, we will write proofs involving supplementary and complementary angle. Here they have told us to prove these two, this given, and we have to prove these statements for these particular lines, you can say. They are not even a triangle, but there are angles involved here. Measure of ABC and measure of DEF is, equal. They have given us. So now we need to write statement and proof in two columns. Proof. So first thing what we do is write whatever is given. Measure of ABC is equal to measure of DEF. That is what is given. I'll just write given. And they have told they both are supplementary. ABC angle and DEF as supplementary. DEF are, you can write the full form, supplementary. I'm just going to write like that. And that is also given. And the last statement is going to be this. No matter what, that is going to be ABC. See, I'm just going to write ABC and DEF. DEF are right angles. That is hence proved. You can write. That is fine if you write like this, but here there is important, some things to write. So these two things are given, and the last one is proved is also in the question. What is the middle thing? Now we know that these two angles are equal, isn't it? So what I can write is ABC is equal to, angle ABC is equal to DEF. Why? Because they're congruent. That's they've given over here. Measure is equal. That means they both are equal. That means it's congruency. Definition of congruency. You can write it as definition of congruency, or congruent angles, of congruent angles. Now this is very important. The next one they have told they both are supplementary, right? So here, if they both are supplementary, which is given to us, then we can tell, okay, that's the last statement, because this is a very short proof. We know these both are equal. Now ABC and is a right angle, but don't write just proven. Why? Because they are, see, the angles are congruent or equal and supplementary. That is the reason. Supplementary means what exactly? Supplementary Supplementary means they add up to be 180 degrees. So basically when you add ABC and DEF, that is equal to 180 degrees, and they are equal, so both of them are 90 and 90. You don't have to write this, I'm just telling you. So this is it. If you write these four statements, it's enough. Over here, because it's a very basic proof, just one statement is enough, and this, the last one, they're right angle. You can just tell because the angles are congruent and they are supplementary, they're equal and supplementary. Therefore you can just read through this. Here they have written in different form, but it's the same thing what they're conveying, the same message in different words. That's it. Now look at this one here. They have given us measure of angle 2 and 3 are congruent and M and P are perpendicular. So here these two are given. I'm not going to write the given things, but after what is given, that is very important. See, initially what I thought is I can tell 1 and 3 are perpendicular, but to tell, corresponding, that corresponding, but to tell that we need to know N and P are parallel. They have not mentioned that, so I can't go with that basis, but I can tell this is 90 degree. Why is that? Because they have clearly told M and P are perpendicular, so I'll tell angle 3 is right triangle, right angle, sorry, GHT, right angle. I'm not writing the given, but you need to write both these statements as given, and the reason being M perpendicular to P, and therefore angles are right angles. When two perpendicular lines are there, all the angles will be right angles. That's the reason. Okay, that is fine. But now what about 1 and 2? Now here they have clearly told 1 and 2 are equal. So we can tell 1, that is given, right? 1 and 2 are right angles. Why is it are right angles? Because they are linear pairs and they're congruent. Linear pairs and they're congruent to each other. Pair and congruent. Now what happens is they both are linear pair in the sense when you add them up, it will be equal to 180 degree and they're equal. So this must be 90 and 90. And this we have already proven is a right angle. Therefore 2 is congruent to 3. That is the last sentence. Why? Because both are right angles. Because both are right angles. See, now let's go through this again. Measure of angle 1 and measure of angle 2 are equal. That's given. Measure M is perpendicular to P is given. If M is perpendicular to P, we can tell this is a right angle. That's 90 degrees. Why? Because M and P is perpendicular. Angles, all angles over here will be right angles. Now 1 and 2 are right angles. Why? Because we know these both are equal and they form a linear pair that is on the same line. So they are 180 equal to 180. But since they are equal, they will become right angles. 90 degree, 90 degree. And then we can tell 2 and 3 are equal because see, we have told 3 is right angle, 2 is also right angle. So therefore 2 and 3 must be equal because they both are right angles. Now initially in my mind, I thought I'll tell 1 and 3 are corresponding angles, but no, you can't tell that because N and P, no information is given. But yes, we can, understand, yes, they are parallel, but now we came to know you have to prove it like this. Let's go through the solution set. Here that's given. Yeah, they form a linear pair and then they have told they are right angles. Yes. Now they have told this perpendicular lines form 4 right triangles and all are congruent. See, whatever my proof varies a little bit, you don't need to write all this. You can just stick with three of these statements. That's enough. As long as you're proving the point, that's more than enough. What about over here? They have told us to find the measure of both of these angles ABC and CBD, and they have told the sum of both. See, ABD, that is the whole thing, is 120 degrees. So let's add them up. 2x plus 5x minus 6 is equal to 120 degrees. Here you can write the details beforehand, what is given and everything, but you can just start with this. That's absolutely fine. Let's add them up. It'll be 7x. That is equal to 1 minus 6 to the other side will be plus. So it'll be 126. Now then we have 105 and 3. It'll be 18. X is equal to 18. So you can do mental math because I know 105, it's 15. 7 5s are 15s are 105. But then how much is it? It'll be 21. So 21 is 7 times 3. So add 3 here, it'll be 18. So there are mental math tricks as well. If you try them, it's very easy to do simple calculation, but you can double check any time with your calculator as well. So x is 18. Now what else? We need to find the measure of these both. A, B, C will be equal to 2 times x, that is 2 times 18. So now here what mental math you can do is, the nearest one to 18 is 20. So 20 times 2 is 40, and then subtract 4, it will be 36. If you're getting confused, leave that, just use calculators, guys. And CBD here will be equal to 5x minus 6. So here we have 5 times 18 minus 6. Now how can you do a mental math over here? That'll be 18 10 times is 180. Half of that is 5. 18 5 times. So that's 90. 90 minus 6 is 84. So here we go. The answers are 80, 36 and 84. And x was 18. What about this problem here? The same thing they have told us this measure, and the total angle is also told. So let's solve it up. 4x plus 2x minus 10 is equal to 140. So here we have 6x is equal to, it goes to the other side, will become 150. 140 plus 10. Now divide both the sides by 6, it'll be 25 here, because 120, 30, yeah. 25, and then we substitute over here. Measure of JKL will be equal to 4x, that is 4 times 25, that's 100. And what about the other measure? JKM, that's, sorry, not JKM, we have to do LKM. LKM, that'll be 2x minus 10, that is 2 times 25 minus 10, that'll be 50 minus 10, that's 40 over here. So those are the answers, 40 and 10. X value was 25. Don't stop over there. You need to find individually both the other angles, and here we go. In this question, we will use the exterior angle theorem. Here we have to find the number angles, each of the number angles. In this, it's only 1 and 2. Now, looking at the figure, you can easily analyze when you add them up, it'll be total 90 degrees. And there are a lot of, other angles given. So let's focus on one triangle. I'll take RWS. So since it's the writing exam, I'll write in detail in triangle RWS. Let's consider this for a minute. I know this W is, you do not need to write in detail, but I'll just write one problem in too much detail, I'm sure even if you write less details, you'll get full marks. See, W, measure of angle W is 90 degrees. Measure of angle S is 30 degrees. Okay, and R is unknown. R is measure of angle 2. When we add them up, that is R plus W plus S is equal to 180 degrees, isn't it? Because it's a triangle. So let's substitute the values. The measure of angle 2 plus 30 plus 90 is equal to 180 degrees. So you can just take it to the other side. All the only leave 2 over here. Everything else to the other side will be 180 minus 30 minus 90. That is equal to, you can just put in the calculator and find it out, 91, 20, it's 60 degrees over here. So measure of angle 2 is 60 degrees. That is the first part. We found this. Now, if you want to find the next one, you can do similarly in triangle RTW, or the easier way is angle R is equal to measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2. Why? Because we know that's a 90 degree. Now, over here, let's write this because they have told 1 plus 2. Now we can tell this is 90 is equal to 1, which is unknown, plus 2 is 60 degrees. Therefore, it's going to be 90 minus 60 is equal to measure of angle 1. You can write in the next line that is equal to 30 degrees. And you can write over here if you want measure of angle R is equal to 90 degrees given. That's given over here. So these are all too many details, but that'll give you absolutely full marks. But in the next problems, I'm not going to write so much details, but still you will, whatever is required, I'll be writing. And if you write so much, you'll definitely get full marks. So here it's very easy. It's 30 and 60. You can see the answers. Measure of angle 1 is 30. Even if you do with this triangle, this is 60, 90, and that's 30. 1 is 30, 2 is 60. What about this one over here? We can see there are vertical angles. This is measure of angle 3. We can't jump into the triangle NQO. Why? Because we don't know two of these, right? So what we'll do is, first, in triangle PM and Q, we'll consider this one. You know, this is 66, this is 58, and this is 1. So what we'll do is measure a 66 degrees plus 58 degrees plus measure of angle 1 will be equal to 180, isn't it? So let us take everything else to the other side. It's 180 minus 66 minus 58. That will be measure of angle 1. So what is 66 and 58? It'll be 120, 124. It's 180 minus 124. That will be 56 degrees. Just use a calculator over here. And then after this, you can write measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 2. Why? Vertically opposite angles, vertical angles are congruent, they're equal. Or you can just write vertical angles, that's it. So measure of angle 1, 56 degrees is equal to measure of angle 2. Now we found this one, we found measure of angle 1. Now what do we need? Measure of angle 3. Now I'll just write it over here. In triangle NOQ, we have 2 plus 3 plus 50 degrees. That will be equal to 180 degrees. Now that means I can substitute the value of 2. It's 56 plus, this is only unknown, plus 50 is equal to 180 degrees. So measure of angle 3 will be equal to 180 minus, you can just sum them up. It's 106 here. It'll be minus 106. So that's going to be 74 degrees. So here we go. That will be the answer. So if you write so much, you should get full marks. So here we have the answers 56, 56, and 54, and 74. And how do we solve this one? Again, let's look at one. Let's see which triangle has most of the information. See, VUT or VTU. This triangle has 35, 36, and 1. So I'll just focus on this one. In triangle VTU, we have measure of angle 1 plus 35 plus 36. That is equal to 180 degrees, isn't it? So measure of angle 1 can be found out by 180 minus 35 plus 36 is 71. So here 70, it will be 109 degrees. Measure of angle 1. Now we found measure of angle 1, but what about this? That is, see, this is point V, but we're not taking all of V. We are just focusing on this part here. We can tell 1 measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 3 is equal to 180 degrees. Why? Because it's a linear pair. Linear pair is 180 degrees when you add them up. Okay, that's the thing. So now I can substitute what is 1, that is 109 degrees plus measure of angle 3 will be equal to 180 degrees. Let's take it to the other side. Measure of angle 3 will be 180 minus 109. So measure of angle 3 is equal to 71 degrees. So that is 71. And what else do we have to find? It's the measure of angle 2. So now here, if I know 1, you can either do 180 minus 1, that is 3. But here you can see these are vertical opposite angles. So this is equal to 3, that is 71 degrees itself. So here we can write measure of angle RVU. RVUV is equal to, the middle one is what is in consideration. RVU is equal to the angle 3, that is equal to 71 degrees. Vertical angles. I'm just stating this. Even if you don't write this, it's fine. You can just write the most important thing. In triangle RVU, this is U and this is V, we can write 80 degrees plus 71 degrees plus measure of angle 2 will be equal to 180 degrees. So let me add this up. It's going to be 151 plus measure of angle 2 is equal to 180 degrees. So measure of angle 2 will be 180 degrees minus 151. That's 30 minus 1. That's 29 degrees is the answer. So that is measure of angle 2. You can see that's measured angle 2, 3, and 1. All the angles are found out. It's 109, 29, and 71 degrees. So here we go. One second. I just realized this is wrong. Okay, this was the first question's solution said, my bad, I have done some error over here. Please, maybe I have forgotten to rectify this. Follow this one here. This is the correct solution for this question, question 3. I hope this is clear. We'll move on to the next question. Now here, this is a simple one because I've told measure of angle 1 and 2 are equal, isn't it? So it's isosceles triangle here. We can just do measure of angle 1 plus is equal to measure of angle 2. And let's take it as x if you want. Okay. So therefore, in the isosceles triangle, isosceles triangle, I'll just write. You don't need to write this, okay? Just you can write x plus 146 is equal to 180 degrees. Now you can take 146 to the other side, it'll be 180 minus 146. What about here? X plus x is 2x. So 2x will be equal to 34 degrees. So x will be equal to half of it, that is 17. So x is 17. So therefore measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 2 is equal to 17 degrees here. Just do 180 minus 46 and half of that will be the answer. Here we go. And what about this one? Now we use exterior angle theorem. See, exterior angle theorem is very simple. This plus this is equal to this. When you add these both, they must be equal to the exterior. Now, why does it make sense? Because how do you find this? It's 180 minus these both. How do you find these both? It's 180 minus each other, right? That's why exterior angle theorem works. Now just remember, measure of angle A plus measure of angle B will be equal to this interior. This is the exterior, 145 degrees. You can just write directly the values. 95 plus 2x is equal to 145. So that will be equal to 145 minus, it's 145 minus 95. That is equal to 2x. So here we have 50. That's 2x. X will be 25. That is the answer. So it's half of 50. And okay, it's not finding x. Sorry, what do we have to find? ABC, which I forgot. Please don't do this in the exam. Completed. Therefore, measure of angle ABC is equal to 2x, right? That will be 2 times 25. That's equal to 50 degrees. This is a very important thing. If you don't do that, you'll lose many marks. So answer is x is 25 and the measure of angle ABC is 50. Or you can just leave it as 2x and solve it up. Now here as well we'll use the exterior angle theorem. We have x and x. So x plus x is equal to, I'm not writing in triangle and everything. I'm just writing to the point now. That's 58. So it's 2x is equal to 58 degrees. X will be equal to 29. Now x is 29, x is 29. What do you want to find? Measure of angle F. That is equal to 29 degrees. That's it. So that's how we solve it. Very simple problems. We have a real world problem here. A lookout tower sits on a network of struts and posts. Leslie measured 3 angles on the tower. If the measure of angle 1, you can see this is the outside angle, is 7x minus 7. The measure of angle 2, okay, and these interior angles are given. What is the measure? First, let's find x and then we will solve it up. Now here, if you look at it, measure of angle 2 plus measure of angle 3 is equal to measure of angle 1 from the exterior angle theorem. You can just write it out over here if you want. So what is measure of angle 2? It's 4x plus 1 plus 2 plus measure of angle 3 is 2x plus 6, that is equal to 7x minus 7. Now let's group all the x's to one side. 4 plus 2 is 6. Let's take it to the other side because 7 is bigger. 7x minus 4x minus 2x. And all the numbers at one side. Here we have 2 plus 6 and minus 7 to the other side becomes plus 7. So here it's 15, that is equal to x. Why? Because 7 minus 6x is just 1x. The problem is not over yet. We just found out the x value. We need to find the measure of 1. How do we find that? That is equal to 7x minus 7. So what is the x value? It is 15 minus 7. So 15, you can do just 7 times 14. 14, 140, 28. It'll be 98 degrees. So that must be the answer. That's the measure of angle 1. And here we go. Yes, it's 15 and 98. So don't stop at x. You need to see what is asked. They've asked the measure of angle 1, so make sure you find the measure of angle 1 itself. And again, a real world problem. Here we just use the exterior angles again. This and this will be equal to 116. So I'll directly write it. Measure of angle 1 is 8x plus 7x minus 4. That is equal to 116. It's going to be 120 is equal to 15x. So this is 8, isn't it? 15. Yeah, it's 8. X is equal to 8. And now we need to find what's the measure of angle 1. 8 times x, that is 8 times 8, that is 64. That's it. So that is how we can easily solve it up. It is, see, x value you found out to be 8, and then put it back in the measure of angle 1, that is 8 times 8, that will be 64. I hope it's clear. Here we have problems to analyze. In triangle ABC, an exterior angle adjacent to A is acute. Okay, the exterior angle adjacent to A is acute. Let me just draw. Now this is acute, so that's a wrong diagram. Adjacent angle to A is acute, so it's something like this. Now this one is acute angle, and this is A, B, C. I'm just trying to describe what is given, this is ABC. So they have told triangle ABC is there, and the exterior angle adjacent to A. So imagine this is A, exterior angle to it is acute angle. Acute means it's less than 90 degrees, right? So I'm just dipping it and making it less than 90. Okay. Is the triangle acute? No way, because if this is less than 90 degrees, then that's acute. Let's say 60 degrees. Then this will be 120 degrees, which is more than 90. So this is obtuse angle, right? Of course, if this is acute, this cannot be acute itself. This will be obtuse. Whereas, now if this was obtuse, say this was 120 degree, then this will be acute angle, 60 degrees over here. So this is how we can, see if this angle is obtuse, then this angle inside one will be acute. And if this is acute, then you will have obtuse. That's what you can say. Now, what did they write over here? Since the exterior angle is acute, the sum of the remote angles must be acute, which means the third angle must be obtuse. And yeah, see what they are saying is, see here, if this is acute, when you add these both, this must be 30 degrees and this is 30 degrees. I'm just giving an example. This is 30 and 30, or you can make it 40 and 20. So these both are acute, so this has to be obtuse no matter what. Or we can just consider linear pair and, tell easily it's obtuse angle. That's what it means. It's repeated twice. Explain why triangle cannot have an obtuse, acute, and right exterior angle. Okay, why a triangle cannot have an obtuse? Okay, now what they are saying is a triangle is there, right? This is a triangle. Cannot have all these together at once. That's what they mean. So now, can they have an acute? Can they have an obtuse, right, and obtuse? Now, imagine this is really okay. Now this is not a proper diagram, but imagine for once this is 60 degrees, which is acute angle, or you can take it as 80 degrees or something like that. Then this is 90 degrees, and this will be, say, more than 90. It's 120 degrees. Let's see what happens in each scenario. If this is, say, 60 degrees, this will be 60, and then this is going to be obtuse, say 120 degrees, and let's take it as 30 and 30. Then if this is now 120 degrees, this is going to be acute, okay, and this will be the sum of both. So it's very highly unlikely. Why? Because then if this is, no, this just cannot happen. Look carefully. Now we have this to be acute, right? So then sum of these two are acute. Okay, and this is obtuse. But now if this is obtuse, this is acute, yes, but this sum of two things must be equal to be obtuse. Now this is already obtuse, and the sum of two will just exceed. And now if this is 90-degree, this two must be equal to 90, which is just not possible, because this is either acute, this is obtuse. No way this can be 90 degrees, because over here they have told not only acute and obtuse, this has to be 90 as well, right? 3 also. So it's just impossible for these two to be 90 degrees, because one will be more than 90, one will be less than 90. And when you add them up, it doesn't make sense at all if you draw them up like this. So it's just not possible. If an exterior angle is acute, then the adjacent angle must be obtuse, yes. And if another exterior angle is right, then the adjacent angle must be right. This is yes. And cannot contain, yeah, of course, over here only you should understand this should be 90, which will not make sense, right? You have acute, obtuse, so it's just not possible basically. So that is what it is. So the sum, yeah, basically now the sum would have been greater than 180. See, this is what I've written for only one, but over here if I consider this to be 90 and this to be 180, we can't have a sum of 180 degrees of a triangle, so it will exceed than that. So therefore a triangle cannot be formed with these three angles as exterior angles. It's the same thing here as well. Now we have another problem where we need to use exterior angle, but now this is interesting. Why? Because there's y and z, two variables, and then we have exterior angle. So what we can do is we can sum these both, add them both, that is equal to 135. That'll be 5y plus 5 plus 4z plus 9 is equal to 135. Let's add let's keep x, y and z over here and remove all the numbers to the other side. 5y plus 4z is equal to 139 plus 14. It will be 135 minus 14. And here it will be 5y plus 4z, that is equal to 135 minus 14 will give you 121. That's it. Now what about the other relationship we can have? This and this, they are linear pair, right? So that will be, when you add these both angles, it will be 180 degrees. So let's do that. 4z plus 9 plus 9y minus 2 is equal to 180 degrees. Let's write y first. 9y plus 4z is equal to, when you add this up, it will be 7 to the other side, it will be 173. Okay, you can do in steps. Now we have two simultaneous equations. We can solve them up. You can subtract them and solve. I'll just use calculator here and solve it up. So let's use mode 5 for equations. And look here, this is a plus b equals c. That's the first equation. Now let's write the coefficient. What is the coefficient? It's pi, 4 and 121. So whatever is the a value, that's not x, it's y answer we'll get, the coefficients of y. So whatever the answer we get will be y and then z, and that's it, two answers. Over here we have 9, 4 and then 173. Make sure it is a plus b equals c, that is the variables together, it must be aligned. Y first, z second, equal to, and then the numbers. So here the answer is 13. What is that first answer? That is y is equal to 13. Z value is whatever comes after that, that is equal to 14. So we have z is equal to 14. That's the answers. Y is equal to 13, z is equal to 14. Or you can do it manually by solving simultaneous equations over here. You can subtract it and solve it. You will get the same answers. So here we go. We got these two equations, yes. And then they have done simultaneous equations. That's absolutely fine. Now here, okay, I'll just do the simultaneous equation because it's the writing exam. I just realized it. And how do we do that is, but even if you don't do it, if you do so much, right, you have got the equations, then you do this, it's fine. You should get full marks. See, it's 5y plus 4z, that is equal to 121. Because 4 and 4 is same, I'm going to subtract it. That means I'm going to use this 9y down. 4z is equal to 173, and I'm going to subtract them. I'm going to subtract means change the signs here completely. This goes off. So here you will have minus 4y is equal to minus 120 to 170. It's 52, right? So divide both the sides by 4, it'll be 12, 13. So it'll be positive 13. Y equals, this is 13, minus is gone, positive 13. So now you found out y, just substitute the y in any one of the equation. You could have done this first, okay? Then you'll get positive values itself, 9y up and 5y down. That would be fine. You'll have gotten positive values, but answer will be the same. Now I'll use the 5 times 13 plus 4z is equal to 121. So here 5 times 13, 13, 5 is 65. Let me take it to the other side. 4z is equal to 121 minus 65. So that will be 65 minus 9 will be 54. No, it's 56, sorry, my bad. 65 minus 9. And then we have 4z. Divide both the sides by 4. It's going to be, 15 minus 1 is 14. And yes, that's the answer. Z is equal to 14. You can use mental math if you want. You can use calculator, anything. You will get the same answers. But please double check your answers in your exam using calculator. That's what I would suggest. And here we go. That's the answers. That is here. Y is equal to 13 and we have Z is equal to 14. And here we have to construct a right triangle and measure one of the acute angles. See now, the construction one, they have asked you to, do this and check by yourself. So you can directly use a protractor and do a right angle triangle. But there's a way to construct it. Say, for example, you take an angle from here, then take an angle, make sure you draw a straight line and all that. But actually, we are not going in detail with this because you have done this before. But you can do construct using a compass. But I'm not sure such problems do come for you in your, particularly this exam. But this is very straightforward. If you want even, you can just use a protractor, draw a 90-degree point and draw lines and then join these 2 points. That'll also be fine. And then you can measure the angles if you want. Before moving ahead, a quick reminder and a humble request. Please do share my channel and my videos with your friends and to whoever that can benefit from it. And I also kindly ask you if you can hit the subscribe button and like my videos, it would mean a lot. In this question, we will use SSS postulate and write proofs to prove the triangles are congruent. Now, SSS stands for side, side, and side. I'm going to use the statement and proof method. See, you ought to have statement over here in one column and then the proof in the other column. I'm just going to use the same format to prove all these problems, but you can stick to different formats. And even if they ask you, say, do a flow chart and you do the statement and proof, you must get full marks. Doesn't matter. It's mainly proving the concept. Now, here you can see they have told AB. See, this is all given. I'm just looking at this. AB, XY, AY, AC, XZ, and BCC. Literally all the sides are congruent. So here you can just tell, write the given. AB is congruent to, just copy down the given. That's it. And then comma AC is congruent to XZ, and lastly BC. You can write it to equal to and a sign. It's equal to, and then this corresponding sign means congruent. This is all given. Therefore, you can just tell ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ because of SSS postulate. This is what we are proving for, right? SSS postulate. All sides are congruent. You don't need to write this, but I'm just writing it because in the given only, they have given everything. All the sides are congruent. That's it. So yeah, it's just 2 sentences, nothing else over here. What about this problem here? Again, this is statement, this is proof. Now, I'm not going to write given every time. I'll just write like this, 2 lines. So you need to write that and then write it's given. See, the last one will be, I'll just draw like this. That has to be written. That's the triangle RST and everything. And you can tell it's SSS postulate here always. Why? Because they have told us to prove it by SSS postulate. So just by this, you will get few marks, because you have written one statement properly from the given and the last one. In the mid, what are you going to do? They have told us RS this one and TU are congruent, UT. And RT and this last two sides are congruent. What about the middle side? If this is congruent to each other, then all the sides are equal, right? And of course, yes, they are congruent. TS is congruent to, like you can just write like this, TS, both the sides triangle. Why? It's a reflexive property. I'll just write reflexive property. What does this mean? Because you can see it's the same thing. It's a reflection for both. I mean, it's literally the same side for both. It has to be same. If it's phi over here, even for the other triangle, it should be phi only, right? TS value will be the same for both of it, and that is equal for both of the triangles. So all the sides are congruent. It's basically a reflexive property. Now here they have done a flow chart. That's fine, but anything works. Even this would work, or the flow chart would work. Now, what about statement and reason, a proof? This is reason, sorry, statement and reason, or you can even write it as proof. See, generally it's written reasons. Now, again, the given one, everything must be done over here, and then you write given. And the last one over here will be SSS postulate. That's all the sides are congruent. What is it in the middle? So what do we know is AB is congruent. See, this line is congruent over here. And they have told see this line point D is the midpoint of AC. That means these both lines are congruent. I can tell AC, line AC is congruent to line DC. Why? Because midpoint by definition of midpoint. Definition of midpoint is a better reason. Definition of midpoint. What does midpoints do? Midpoints equally cut this line. Like if this is AC, if D is the midpoint, then whatever the dimension is, they'll be equally cutting it into half. So if the total length was 10, it'll be phi and phi. That means they both are equal. Now this line is equal, and this was already given, A, B, and BC. What about DB? DB is equal, right? DB is congruent to DB itself. Why? Because it is the reflexive property which we did in the last problem. Reflexive property. So if you write these four statements, it's done. And then you write the proof, whatever is there, that's the triangle ABD is congruent to CBD. So here we go. It's two important reasons, definition of midpoint and reflexive property of congruency. Then they are proven by SSS postulate. Here as well, when I look at it, I can easily tell this is equal and this is equal. We have to just prove this one. And they have told V is the midpoint. So yes, they are equal. So it's just like the previous one. There's nothing different in this. Oh, it's just that it's in the flow chart, but I'll write it out again. See, this one given is given. Then I'm going to write RV is congruent to VT. The line RV and is congruent. It's because of the definition of midpoint. It's the midpoint because I've clearly told V is the midpoint of RT. And then I can tell VS is congruent to VSY. It's the reflexive property. Reflexive property. And then you can just tell this one, last one. So that is SSS postulate. Please, in the exam, make sure you write it clearly. I'm so wrecked with continuous recordings and everything. My voice is gone. I'm not able to write properly. That's the reason. But you guys, please make sure you write it properly. So these are the reasons. That's definition of midpoint and reflexive property. Let us see the next one here. Now they have told QR and SR, that is this one, they are congruent to each other. And ST and QT are congruent. Okay, these two are congruent. Then what about RT? Only the missing thing is RT is congruent to RT because of reflexive property. This is a very important property. Reflexive property of congruency. That's the only thing missing. Then everything is given and the final sentence. You can see here RT is congruent to RT because of the reflexive property. They have written in paragraph, but this is all given. And because all the sides are congruent by SSS postulate. We can say these triangles are congruent. Here we have, again, now they have told BD, AC, sorry, the line AC is bisecting BD. What happens? Bisection means cutting into half equal parts. So here as well, you need to write first given. This is all given. The last one is SSS postulate. What is in between? I'll write over here BC is congruent to DC or CD. The lines are congruent. Why? That is the definition of bisection. Definition of bisectors. Because AC is a bisector. Or you can just write this part. AC bisects BD. That's also fine. Now this is done. Okay, then everything is done, right? These two are given. Only this was missing. And that we have told, yes, they are because of definition of bisection. So definition of segment bisector, that's the only thing. And okay, now here they have told C is the midpoint. Instead of that, you can directly jump to saying BC is congruent to CD. You can tell definition of bisection or midpoint theorem, anything is fine. Now, what I wrote is absolutely fine. This is enough. Anyone who corrects it will understand what you're meaning. Yeah, they both are equal. And that is the end of all the writing part questions. I hope you have found these videos helpful and beneficial. And if you can do a huge favor to me, that is by sharing these videos with your friends who also can benefit from it. All the advanced grade videos, EoTs, and lesson explanations are available. Please do share it for those who can benefit. And also, if you could subscribe to my channel or like these videos, it would mean a lot to me. Thank you very much for watching my videos. I wish you all the best for the exam.